how do we retrain when so much of water workforce development is focused on kids in colleges and under 35? How do we capture and reuse our water expertise that is now exiting from the federal government?
I mean, I would say that first, it's a risk because the water expertise, in the sense of it doesn't serve private enterprise, is not going to be immediately valuable there, at least except for very few places. But it is immensely valuable to society and to civilization. So obviously, the technology universe is a place where a lot of those technical people can end up evolving to. They have to learn new things, but that's easily doable. But I think the greatest challenge is to find out how do they, and again, many are doing small, maybe not as consequential research, but in the end, all research matters. And we have to figure out some way to keep those small, inconsequential projects alive without federal funding. And I think the state's got to play a role. I think local government's going to play a role. I think our education system, even our high schools, can play a role in some of that. You know, it's not hard to imagine some people taking it with towards the end of their career, they might choose to go and teach, whether at community college or at a university or whatever.
Yeah, and especially those in the 35 to 55 are not ready to go to pasture just yet. But and as a follow up, and Senator Bennet, you mentioned in terms of technology where we are, that so much of there has been more support for water technology startups than in the past. Still not there with other climate tech. But most of those investments are made after they go to market, where most of the development of those technologies occurs in federally funded research at universities and SBIR and that sort of thing. If that's gone, how do we get the early stage funding for the development technology so it can get to the point where investors are interested?
It's going to be a real challenge.
Yes.
One of the things that we're going to realize in this moment, I think, is how important those direct investments in technology is, the role that the government has played in providing investments that the private sector is, in many cases, isn't yet ready to make. And just as we are now realizing, I think, how costly the loss in expertise is, like the water expertise that you're talking about, the expertise of the federal employees that have been such dedicated public servants for the Forest Service and for the BLM, just to take two examples. I think there's going to be, hopefully, a growing pressure to reinstate people as part of this too, and so much of what we rely on to make policy in that room, and I'm not just talking about the federal level, I mean at every level, is the kind of scientific expertise that you're talking about that has been kind of disregarded and thrown to the side by this current administration. I don't think any of us will accept that as a permanent state of things. We have to fight back against it and try to reestablish. We're already, the three of us, I know, working with our colleagues at in the delegation to try to protect the folks at NREL, for example, who are at risk of being laid off for all the reasons that you just described.
Thank you very much.